Flow State Jedis, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sumet Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a Flow State Specialist, which means that I help you feel your best and perform your best. Today we're speaking about mind control, how we can use mind control for manifestation. The first thing to understand about mind control is that you are already having your mind controlled, okay? By the media, by the government, by teachers, by society, and so forth. So you've got to, first of all, decondition yourself towards all the conditioning that exists, the cultural conditioning, the things that put you into a scarcity and a sense of fear, because fear will get us closer towards our survival states. And once we're in a survival state, what tends to happen is we feel like there's no other choice, there's no opportunities, there's no access, there's no abundance, I don't have enough to go around, I'll never survive, and all of these particular thoughts. So as a positive psychologist, I understand that there's something called the positivity ratio by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, okay, which is 3:1. So 3 positive thoughts are equal to 1 negative thought. A lot of my students know this. And it's important for you to, first of all, understand that negative thinking is way more powerful than positive thinking. So we need to, therefore, bombard our mind with positive imagery, okay? Why am I saying this? Because the images we hold in our mind are associated with our reptilian limbic system brain, associated with our fear, okay? So as we imagine safe imagery, positive imagery, and bombard our consciousness with positive imagery, positive music, positive uplifting movies, inspirational quotes, as we start taking on this power to brainwash ourselves, because if we have been brainwashed, if we have had subliminals used against us, why not use brainwave entrainment, subliminal technology to try to reprogram us back to who we truly prefer to be rather than what society wants us to be. You know, there's a very interesting theater exercise I had to do a very long time ago when I went for an internship. Okay, this was in, teacher's name was like Brent Blair, I remember, so maybe you can look it up where his faculty is. But the exercise was that first and foremost, we would act as society wanted us to act, okay? And I started acting like this goofy Indian guy, you know, like the stereotypical tech, like, hello, how are you doing? Oh, very nice, very nice. I was just exaggerating, you know, I was going all the way off. Like, think of the Indian guy that they portray in all the Hollywood movies, right? Now, I know Hollywood is against my stereotype, bro. Straight up. I know that if I look at Hollywood movies, not all of them, right? Obviously, because I'm wearing Iron Man goggles. You gotta watch the things that inspire you, okay? There are moments where you can watch a little bit of cringe, but that's the shadow work phase. As you're going into a golden shadow, as you're revealing more in terms of who you're activating and actualizing, you want to find characters that you truly resonate with and you can optimize in your life. You don't just watch it just for the sake of entertainment, you're watching it for a sense of effectiveness, okay? Also, positivity helps you to boost your resilience, help you with stress, increase your health, and boost your mood. These are important things because they're going to amplify your performance. As you start performing better, you start feeling more competent and you start feeling even better, okay? So one of the biggest mental blocks that we have is uncertainty. You'll notice this. Let's say that you have someone trying to get in a basket, into the basketball, okay? You have a basketball player just practicing throwing it in the basket. If he's not visualizing a sense of certainty that he's gonna get in every single basket, he's not gonna reach that top tier status. He's gotta have that convincing certainty. It's almost a certainty that is absolutely ruthless, okay? It is like, I am gonna make it to the finish line. I don't care what it takes. I don't care how I'm gonna get there. And again, this can be very brash and actually be a little bit rushed if you are thinking like this. But I think to be a top level athlete, to be a top level performer, to be a top level Jedi, you've got to be able to tap into this mentality, okay? That every single shot that I take is getting in there. And every single shot that I miss, I completely delusionally just whatever, okay? Yeah, that was a fluke. It just happens sometimes like that, but that's not my norm, okay? My default is that I get it in every single basket. That's my reality, that's my norm, okay? Don't try to define my norm for me. Okay, what is normal to you is not normal to me, okay? So what is normal to you is profound revelation to other people. And I share some of these concepts, and to some of you, it's like completely new. You're like, whoa, that's dope, right? But to others, you're like, oh yeah, I know all this self-help stuff. I get it already. And some of you are already blocking the blessings and the allowance that might be coming from a video like this, you see? So it's up to you to give yourself permission to win, my friends. You got to give yourself permission to win, because if you don't give yourself permission, you're going to have to look for permission and wait for permission from the external outside world, okay? And that kind of permission, you can keep waiting for years and years and years and never create that gravitational magnetism, right? That gravitational pull that moves you from point A to point B and actually makes the process much smoother, much faster, much better for you. Be able to have that certainty is also an ability to have that star quality, like you're okay with eyes on you, in a sense, because a lot of people, they have a fear of being seen, okay? They have a fear of the camera, therefore they have a fear of being seen on the camera, whereas somebody is watching them, whereas I'm speaking to a camera like I'm talking to a friend. You see what I'm saying? I'm not like imagining and envisioning that this is some kind of a, strange YouTube formula where I'm going to, speak into the camera and there's something going to magically happen as a byproduct. And that creates such an important pocket of concentration for me, as I'm able to use my mind control on my self-talk and my frame control all in one. Okay, and this is really the art and the law of narration, where you start to narrate your life according to how you truly want it to be. What would a narrator sound like in your own mind? Okay, I'm gonna get out of the sun for a second. So, I use a lot of catchphrases. I learned this from the AZD process. I use a lot of catchphrases whenever my mind starts to talk nonsense to me, basically, okay? So the catchphrases include, shut the fuck up, my turn, why not, so what? So what is one of my favorite ones. It's like when the mind gives you rationalizations or goes into an overthinking mode. You just go to your mind, so what? Why not? Let's go. Okay, and one of my favorites is Upward Spiral Gang, as you guys know, okay? That's one of my favorite ones to say. And it's so powerful because I thought of that in my lowest of lows, so it really transmuted all of that darkness and all of that pain into something positive that started to cause a ripple effect in my own internal world. And now it does so for my students and other people who watch this channel, and therefore, start to gain the mastery over their own internal world, so that they can start to become a master of their external worlds. So basically, when you start to look at failure, you can't look at it as a word, okay? You've got to look at it as what was a strategy that was ineffective. And if you understand that this is an ineffective strategy for me, and I'm actually not going to thrive with this mentality, with this way of life, with this way of cadence, with this way of, charisma, I'm going to have to allow myself to make mistakes, to be a little bit of a trend setter, a trailblazer. And I'm going to have to stop using words that are going to prevent me from my success. Okay, what do I mean by that? I noticed that when I first started to train, that I would start using the words, I can't. Okay? Now, I don't know where this was coming from, but it was coming from an insecurity within me. It was coming from my past storylines of kind of starting something and then quitting on it, like as soon as I started, right? I remember I'd pick up the guitar, I'd put it down, okay? I'd start doing something else and then my mind would rush to another thing. And this is an issue with a lot of creatives. So you understand why I double down on my videos with consistency every single day, right? It is because of that. I am fighting the enemy of my life, that is my resistance. That feeling of I don't want to do it, I can't, I don't know. I'm battling that every single day and I'm winning. Now, there are times when the resistance wins. That's okay. Okay, there are times where the storyline in your movie is going to have conflict, but that makes the storyline more engaging and interesting too. It doesn't mean that you back away from every single confrontation and you just make life like this peaceful, it's like, you know, a free-for-all quest, right? Kind of like, you know, a free roaming video game where you don't have any tasks to do. Okay, that's how a lot of you guys are living. And if you are living in terms of, you know, planning and organization, some of you are taking it so far that you're missing out on the fluidity, the versatility, and the improvisational quality and spontaneity that you can respond to in the moment. This is why I trained myself over the years in improvisational theater and acting, and allowing myself to speak spontaneously in front of a camera like this, you see, without any prepared script or kind of backstory. I'm just speaking from my heart into a camera like this to have that unwavering certainty that I know what I'm talking about and I can walk my talk every single day. I'm helping people on the daily to transform out of their miserable lives, as well as understand that they do have an abundant choice every single day. They do have a choice to show up very differently. They do have a choice to rewrite their narrative and how they look at their storyline, how they look at their situation. Because you better be your own star player. You better be your biggest fan. You better have your back 100% of the time, okay? If the universe doesn't have your back, that's okay. You gotta have your back, okay? You gotta understand, I am playing to win. I'm not playing not to lose. The mind doesn't focus on the negative words, actually. It doesn't focus on the not or the don't or the never. That's why when you say, don't eat junk food, or when your parents say that, you focus more on junk food. Okay, that's just the way that the mind works. So you can't keep telling yourself, like, I won't do this, I'll never touch those again. Yeah, right, sure you won't, okay? How about you turn it over to the positive? Instead of saying, I don't want to eat these cupcakes, why don't you say, I do want to eat more healthier food? Maybe I'll incorporate, you know, more fruits and yogurt in my diet. Maybe I'll, you see, now you're taking away your focus from that negative junk food that's so toxic and full of preservatives and making you lethargic and just lackadaisical and slow and sluggish. You are implementing a better fuel for your body's temple. You see what I'm saying? And so the food is actually produced in the gut, right? And you got to understand that in your gut, that is actually what is creating a lot of your mood, okay? So a lot of the mood that is keeping you functioning, alert, you got to understand how to biohack, how to use binaural beats at the right moments for the right context for that pivotal time. It's like I understood I have so much of the tech to change myself that I've not been using to my utmost capability because I've been lacking in my own solid sense of structure. When somebody else makes a structure for you, you actually start to falter and you start to lose out on the aspects of your individuality and uniqueness that make you a badass shaman, okay? But if you can start taking more risks, you know, going outside of your comfort zone, and you start becoming way more self-aware, then you'll notice that you're magnetizing more positivity into your life, and you'll be able to, as you raise your vibration, manifest much quicker, manifest much faster. You know, speaking about the nowhere, the never thing, Neville Goddard actually has a technique where, you know, before he sleeps, he'll say, I do not want to climb a ladder or whatever, right? And he will envision that there's a ladder that he's climbing, and the word do not actually makes it magnetize faster towards that thing, right? And so people who would try this for 3 nights in a row, you can try this yourself, you'll notice that in real life, there'll be times where you have to climb a ladder, okay, that will manifest. And it's very, very interesting. So I like that tech, and I also like the understanding of the eavesdropping technique that he uses. So you are kind of eavesdropping some people talking about you, of the things that you wish to change about you. And it's like, oh, have you seen Scripps, man? He transformed his body, man. He was so unfit earlier, and now he's like shredded. Like, it's incredible, right? And you listen to them saying it, and then you get the feeling of what you were feeling, that sense of accomplishment, or that sense of, you know, pride that you feel after achieving something. And so once you are imagining that this is actually from a third person, and at times there's also a technique where you actually ignore that there is a third person in the equation. You want to get really, really good at decoding other people's emotional data, because what is it that they really want? If they're complaining that I don't have this, you got to switch the conversation in your mind as to, this person actually wants to be free. Right, this person doesn't want to be in the shackles of their workplace anymore. This person actually wants blank, right? And once we understand what other people want, we can also align our desires with their desires, amplifying the manifestation. If you don't know what others want, if they're confused, if they're scattered, if they have no mission, you're going to have that energy in your life too, especially when it comes down to the dynamic of two people, a couple, right? One may be more spontaneous, one planning. I've seen this multiple times happen, okay? Where you got to understand that, hey, maybe you didn't grow up around that kind of, cleanliness in a household, or maybe you didn't grow up around, your parents being so sweet to each other all the time, right? That's okay. You got to understand that you are creating your own life right now, and you can't go based off of your past storyline. You've actually got to be creative in this, okay? And the creatives always win if they have the right framework, the right context. You got to allow yourself to daydream without any rules or kind of boundaries or holding yourself back in any way, right? Because a lot of people do this too. They try to hold themselves back. So they read the emotional data coming off of a person. Let's say they're feeling really sad. They only perceive the sadness, and they start focusing on their feelings, and they start taking it personally, rather than listening to them, reflecting on it, and understanding that they have a specific kind of emotional data that they are actually emitting. And once you get to the objective truth, like, this person really wants that, I get it. They're sad because this situation is meaningful to them, and they want to have more joy in this scenario. And understand that as a pleasure alchemist, we will teach you this technology in our Adepts program. But once you recognize what the emotion is, you also understand that emotions are energy in motion. Okay, you've heard this many times before, but really get down to it. That sadness is just energy. It's just stagnant energy that is stuck. It's not moving, it's not flowing. You just gotta keep moving forward, right? It's like, sort of in Bombay traffic, like they sort of just like a car gets into a bit of a scrap, or like there's a person, maybe that's sick on the floor. The ambulance comes, it's like very swift, people will get on with their lives and move on. It's like New York, something happens, people help out, usually they do. I mean, here in Kolkata, sometimes people just look and they wait, right? They're like bystanders. You can't live like a bystander your entire life, bro. You can't be like in the background all the time instead of being the main character, you see? The main character essence is really gonna help you manifest, because you are gonna finally step in and feel like you're adding value to your own emotional freedom, okay? If you're just reframing the anxiety and the fear and the scarcity that you're feeling, like, oh, it's just adrenaline, oh, it's just excitement, it's just exhilaration, it's just some other thing than the emotion, the negative emotion that I'm perceiving right now. It doesn't have to be that. I can control my reality according to what I want, because I'm competent in this arena and I have a sense of control about this thing, which is a flow state trigger, okay? You gotta have a sense of control about what you are doing, and you gain that sense of control by gaining trust, by gaining patience with yourself, by giving yourself different challenges and walking through those challenges, right? Going through your own ring of fire that you've created for yourself. Stop getting into the habit of waiting till New Year's, okay? A lot of people, they're like waiting till New Year's to get that new body or new job or new lifestyle or new this and new that. Listen, man, why do you have to wait for a specific date to give you permission to crush it in life? I just don't get that. Just show up and fucking do your thing, man. Stop waiting for Valentine's Day to be romantic. Stop waiting for Christmas in order to be more giving and generous. It's like, be that right now. It's be, do, have. It's not, trying to have it and then do it and then you will be finally confident. No, stop working in that weak frame of mind. You're going to have your mind become a lot sharper, a lot more resilient. The fact that you can accomplish it, it's actually within your grasp, but you keep backing out at the last moment. That is the biggest thing with a lot of people's manifestations, is they forget. But one of the greatest affirmations, single word mantras, single word affirmations that I've always said to myself is remember. Okay? We also have a specific mantra for the Adepts program that has the acronym FLOW. You're gonna know what that is if you join the program, okay? This is very, very powerful. We also have a specific flow state invocation and a prayer that we do before we channel. So it's very, very powerful. I mean, you guys are gonna get this tech and you'll start to understand and unravel it much further as you start practicing, okay? And I don't even actually call it practice, call it attunements, right? I just call it reality. I just call it like, training my mind or rehearsal or something else, because practice implied that I'm trying, right? Practice implies that I am trying and I'm pushing, and it has to be difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. Your limiting belief system is telling you that going to the gym is going to be so difficult that you're going to give in for the last, you're going to try for a week and then you're going to give up. Why not, first of all, work on your inner world so that you have enough of a sharp mentality that you're going to tell yourself and have the self-talk that you're going to be like, let's go to the gym, man. And you can't think of any other excuse because you're already putting on your sock to go there. You see, that's the mentality that I want you guys to adopt. And that is the mind control that you need in order to, not get into this weird self-sabotaging resistance that keeps popping in like an ugly little wart, It's like you try to do something, it's like, hey, bro, but you can't do that, or whatever. It's like, remember in third grade? It's like, it's not third grade anymore. I'm an adult and I'm living my life. It's like, why do you keep bringing up that memory, And that's the thing, you're resisting that memory. You haven't processed that memory. You haven't incorporated it into your life yet. It is still traumatic to you, and so you keep living in that trauma, and your body's still in that trauma because you haven't let it go yet fully somatically, right? But the greatest thing you can do for trauma is to hang around other people whose nervous system is present and relaxed and can listen to you. Straight up. That's why you need to go to a therapist that is very, very present, a good listener, someone who can embrace and allow you to express what you need to express without judgment, without, giving their own little nitpicky comments as you're starting to speak, removing all the dogma and all that stuff. To release trauma, you got to understand one thing, my friends. You got to work on your presence, because the moment you have that mindfulness, the moment you understand and you're more self-aware, you understand yourself better, you can actually start to make yourself better, okay? Because from the understanding, you will start to then reconvene all of the rules that you've been telling yourself, because your rules create your boundaries, okay? But maybe there's some unwritten rules that you made that happened from trauma, that happened in your mind. If I speak up, I will get punished. What if that's a belief system for you and it's preventing you from meeting others, and it's making you feel isolated and lonely and feel like a hermit, whereas you know that you can be social when activated in the right way, when called upon in an event, when going out and, inviting others to your experience. And hey, it could be your own ego playing games with you, right? We have mind games that people play with us, but we got to play the mind games with ourselves, you see? Because if we really know ourselves, and if we go like, bro, I know that I love eating Oreos, but then let's say you give a negative frame to Oreos and you say that, hey, there's the Leviathan cross in the Oreo itself. I don't know if you guys know this, right? So now that you have a negative association with Oreos, and now you're not going to touch them anymore, you see? So you have to actually decide what to cut out and reframe it into the negative so that you don't go there anymore. Right now, the things that you're doing that are addictions to you, that are bad habits or whatever, you've associated lots of positive traits with those things. And control is not about tyranny, it is about trying to create the most regulative system, the most strategic framework for you in order to crush it. You get what I mean? By the way, shout out to Shiva, okay? So basically, I wanted to say this last thing because I actually left it out and I forgot to mention it. So I learned this actually in the Guru Yoga retreat. And it was the Medicine Buddha retreat this time, right? But it's still Guru Yoga. And I understood something which is very, very powerful. It is to basically borrow the mind of the Guru in order to meditate. Our minds aren't really meant to be meditating for like 2 hours and so forth, right? It is very frantic, and there's a lot of distractions that come up, right? Like, there's too many distractions for the human. And so the gurus, or the people who have ascended a more master level status, okay, if you use ascended masters or gurus or deities and you borrow their mind, okay, this is the visualization. You are borrowing the mind of the deity in order to meditate. So you're not using your mind, you're actually using the guru's mind or the deity's mind. I think this is very, very powerful in terms of mind control, because you're almost merging with that higher mind. It's almost like your future enlightenment is your spiritual guide now. Okay, so you're using the mind of your higher self, or perhaps even a deity of some sort, in order for you to borrow that confidence, allow yourself to use their extra energetics and presence in order to heal your traumas, in order to get you to where you're at, in order to achieve samadhi and so forth, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. We're all gonna make it. May the flow be with you. Os.